Gourmet Leftovers 101. Today we're going to be making some homemade pierogies. Now this one is my wife's absolute favorite recipe. So we're going to start off with about 2 cups of flour. And then we're going to add to that about 1/3 of a cup of water. And we'll add 2 eggs to that. And about a half a teaspoon of salt. Now we're going to throw that back on the mixer and mix that on a low speed until it's all well combined and kneaded into a consistent dough. But we'll speed that up for you a little bit. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing to the channel. And there we go. So we've got ourselves a nice smooth dough there. Just going to wrap that up in some cling film and we'll refrigerate that for about 1 hour. Now while that's put aside and resting, we'll get to start on the filling for the pierogies. So we're going to peel up 4 potatoes here. And we'll dice all those up. And then we'll either boil them or steam them. I prefer to steam them. But if you don't have a vegetable steamer, just go ahead and boil them like you would normal mashed potatoes. And then, gonna get a nice big pack of bacon. I like just buying the scrap bacon. I actually think it's a little bit better for this kind of stuff. And I'm gonna throw that in the oven until it's cooked but not crispy. Find it's a little bit better texture, obviously, if you don't have a bunch of crispy bacon in the middle of the pierogies, but that's your preference. So there's our nice steamed potatoes. And we're going to transfer those into a bowl. I'm going to add about 1/3 of a cup of butter. Just eyeballing it more than anything. And about 50 milliliters of the heavy cream. We're going to season that up with a little bit of salt and pepper. And then put whatever kind of cheese you want in there. I did a little mixture of like a fiery 4-cheese blend and a little bit of cheddar. And I think I also put a little bit of red Leicester cheese in there too. Ended up being really nice. Now we're going to chop up all our bacon here. There we go. Oh, this is making me hungry just looking at all that bacon. And mix that all into the potato filling. Okay, now on a floured surface we're going to take that dough out of the refrigerator. Give it a nice little coating of flour so it doesn't get too sticky. It is a pretty sticky dough. And then we're just going to gently roll that out until we get the dough about 3 millimeters or 1/8 of an inch thick. And then we're just going to cut out a bunch of rounds for our pierogies. Something in the neighborhood of about 3.5 inches across, 9 centimeters, something around there. You can go a little bigger, a little smaller if you want, but not much smaller. This just seems to be just about the right size for a normal pierogi. And we'll wrap up the rest of that dough to put aside, and we'll re-roll it out again in a sec later. Now let's get our filling in here. So once you fill it up with filling, then you just pinch the pierogies closed, trying to get as little air left in the pierogies as possible. I didn't do the best job of that on a lot of them, but there we go. Pinch that one shut, and then on the other one we're going to pinch it shut, and then we're just going to do a crimp with a fork. This is kind of up to you whether or not you like it or not. I actually really like doing the crimped look on the pierogies, but like I said, your preference, whichever you like best. Me, I'm going to go ahead and crimp the rest of them. I probably could have gotten away with putting a little bit more filling in some of these pierogies. Some of them I was a little bit light on. If the dough starts to go a little dry and you're having a hard time sticking it together, like I did after they've been sitting there for about 5 minutes in the air, started using some egg wash to give some moisture around the edges, which helped them seal up. There we go. So there we have our pierogies all made. Now I did 2 batches. I put 1 sheet like this in the freezer, and then after they're frozen just bag them up, and the other half I just went straight into cooking right away fresh. This recipe makes enough for about 25 to 30 pierogies depending on how big you make them. So we're going to boil those in some salted boiling water. It takes about 5 minutes, and then once they're all floating, that means they're done. You can see some sausage cooking up in the corner there to go along with them. I also like doing the pierogies fried as well, but for this time I just did straight boiled. There we go. Got our Polish sausage, some sour cream, some fresh spring onions. That is a perfect comfort food dinner as far as I'm concerned. Well, hope you enjoyed the video. Please consider subscribing to the channel, and why don't you check out some of these other great videos. Thanks, and we'll see you next time.